And welcome to Minisode 204.
Yeah.
We're here.
Yeah.
You're here.
Oh, yeah.
Take my hand. Feel its supple baby skin.
All right, you know
That's
what?
right.
Don't use my words against me. How dare you?
That's right.
Moist. It is moist.
I've never worked hard in my entire life, and that's thanks to you patrons.
My callus-free fingers. Is that the
Yeah.
angle you're going for?
That's what I'm going for.
Oof. Nice hard sell.
Thank you. Welcome to the Minisode, everybody. Welcome to the Minisode. Boys, what do you got for us this week? Who wants to start?
Can I go first today?
Please do.
I always patiently wait, but today is important because I may have read the stupidest thing I've ever read in my entire life, and I want to share it with the world immediately. As you know, on this show, I try to stick to the science. I try to, stick to things that are like in space or like really cool, like quantum mechanical things. But I do my research for this show, and every so often I come across an article, and I'm like, interesting. Well, this one isn't just interesting. It may be the stupidest thing I've ever read. And
Okay. Not the direction I thought you were going to be going with this.
No, this is very stupid. It's about, since we're in this space, it's about ghosts.
Oh,
And
okay.
I'm not going to read the title of this article. I'm just going to read you the content so that you can understand where I was. I was like, what? Do ghosts live forever? While it seems strange to suggest that something thought of as the disembodied spirit of a dead person can itself die after a certain amount of time, such a possibility has been gaining traction in recent years among some paranormal researchers.
Okay, I got to say, I've ruined you, Jesse. I've come across this article. The fact that you are now coming across these articles tells me I've ruined your algorithm.
One of these is Brian Sterling Vet, a veteran enthusiast of all things supernatural who has spent a considerable amount of time analyzing data collected from various paranormal investigations. According to his findings, sightings of famous ghosts and allegedly haunted locations around the world are occurring less and less frequently. Interesting. Especially those that have been around for hundreds of years or more. When all the data is considered, it was quite a shock to think that many of our once famous ghosts might literally be dying, he said.
Oh my God.
It was apparent that famous ghosts once notably haunted locations were now increasingly less frequently haunted, and some had not been seen in years. Our research suggests that sentient ghosts seem to have a limited lifespan, just like humans.
That's where the research led them? That's the deduction this man made?
The second law of thermodynamics tells us that energy tends to disperse and degrade over time. I would argue that our findings show ghosts do conform to the second law of thermodynamics, as they appear to run out of energy. Given that science does not even recognize the existence of ghosts in the first place, any research of this nature is clearly not definitive, but it does raise some interesting questions.
All
If
I'm
ghosts
thinking
do
about is
exist,
fucking Coco, dude. Is that crazy?
if ghosts do exist, could they really have a limited lifespan? And if so, what happens when they die a second time? Could the mere possibility of something like this suggest that ghosts are, in fact, not necessarily dead, but alive? Or something else? The search for answers continues. I must stress the leap of logic to go, all right, so we are seeing less and less ghosts out in the wild, and with more and more equipment, we pick up less and less. It's not that the ghosts were never there to begin with. It's that the ghosts have died.
Somehow
that's
the
where
hypothesis hyper-supposes that ghosts are real.
Yes.
That's
So
the thing is
ghosts, one, are real, but two, all incidents of ghosts, especially famous ghosts that aren't showing up anymore, isn't because they were never real and just stories told to get people to go places, but were in fact dead ghosts now.
What does that even look like? Is there just like a guy like who's invisible and he's like laying on the ground?
I guess they're saying that if they're made of energy, that
They're just
energy
like,
over time dissipates.
So what about the
I'm
new
assuming, and I'm going to take a guess, there must be a correlation between phones and cameras to...
I mean, that's literally what he's saying. He's like, in the last couple of years, we've seen less and less ghosts, and it's getting a little upsetting. Like, what happened to all the ghosts? The implication, though, is people die every single day. Surely they would restock the ghost population.
What
Or
if cameras
my
really
theory,
do suck up the ghosts?
I think we have some really cool shit on camera now from like the hauntings of like the security guard that was clearly like talking to somebody. That shit's cool. But
My
that just
theory-
means that the folklore obviously is likely to be the least likely to be real because it's folklore.
my theory is that when you die, if you become a ghost, you get the option to put on the old ghost clothes of all the miners and
be
like
awesome,
Victorian widows, and you get to
Oh, that'd be
cosplay
sick.
in the afterlife. Yeah.
Dude,
like old
afterlife is
old-timey
just
ghosts.
LARPing. It's just LARPing.
Yeah, because you could either be a poltergeist, which is, a little scary, kind of boring. But if you want to like,
A little scary, kind of boring.
if you want to like freak people out, you show up and you're like, can I borrow that dress? And she's like, I'm fading away to oblivion anyway. Take it, dear. And you put it on, and then you go like, I'll take over your space, Granny.
You've
And then you
created
go
an
do it.
entire Pixar movie. Another one that's not
Yeah.
even Coco. Yeah.
Yep.
I hate
Hated
that
it.
guy.
That's
And
one of the
and
dumbest
not only
articles I've ever read.
but,
I hate that.
It opens with you saying like he studied a bunch of investigations that already happened. He didn't even go out looking himself. He just looked at other
No,
people.
the idea is that it's like most research, it's,
I know.
you take the
Yeah.
research of other people, but the idea that your answer isn't that there's
Your
more
intuition,
people
yeah.
searching than ever before and finding less and less. Thus, I can't say everything, obviously everything, but 90x% of them are just like, fun things people did to get people to show up and like visit the area. Like that's, it's like, bro,
That's
what do you
insane.
mean? They're
insane.
dying?
It's like if you want to
Now
go
we
back,
have to worry
if you
about
wanna leave
ghost death?
Ghostopia and go back to the human world, you have to dress like fucking Revolutionary War guys.
It's wild.
Oof.
And that's rough. What an idiot. Oh God. Alex, take us next. What do you have?
I got one for you. Okay, so a man, 63-year-old man in South London, was taken to the police station recently and questioned in connection with a heist of over 950 wheels of cheddar cheese weighing 22 tons.
Cool.
This happened a couple weeks ago in October. They said they were the, quote, victim of a sophisticated fraud. There was even a social media post of them posting the, 10-ton order of cheese on their fucking, social media, getting excited. And then this guy showed up pretending to be a French wholesaler, and he took all the cheese before they realized that he wasn't real. And they got all this cheese, and they... Jamie Oliver got involved. He was
geez.
posting. He was like, look out for posh cheese. He says it's a shame because there's only a handful of real cheddar cheesemakers in the world. And that's some of the cheese that got stolen. But apparently what I've learned from the CBC is that it's actually not that uncommon for cheese to be stolen. And that in the early 2000s, cheese was the most stolen product in Europe and the UK. Absolutely. This year, in July, a court ruled that a German police officer who was fired for stealing cheddar cheese from an overturned truck while attending a traffic accident could not get his job back. In 2022, thieves stole 161 wheels of cheese worth 32K
Good Lord, that's amazing.
32K CDN from a Dutch cheese farmer. Same thing happens a lot on in Dutch dairy farms. In 2016, 8,500 kilograms of cheese was stolen, about $135,000 worth. Italy is also a place that gets a lot of cheese theft. In 2016, $9.7 million worth of cheese were reported to have been stolen in the past 2 years. Even
Good
in
God.
the United States, where places you think of like Wisconsin lost 20K pounds of fresh cheese, which is worth $64K. In Canada, 187K cheese from Saputo Dairy in Ontario in 2019. There's been so many high-profile cheese heists because it's a really high-value food that's easy to transport. Interesting, right?
I have so many questions about
Yeah.
the underground cheese market.
Cheese network. Yeah, man. I want to get.
sounds
How do you
so
get a
real,
part of
though,
it?
right? It's like
It
it feels
does.
like the book, underground book traders and the underground cheesemongers hang out at the same
It's
weird
great.
vampire bars.
I love that. If you can get me into the Underground Cheese Network and listener,
what's up with that?
Chilluminatipod@gmail.com. Get me in there. I want to know.
What about you?
All right, boys, I'm gonna let us out here with some science from just over 2 weeks ago, actually, October 19th, 2024. This is a quantum science experiment that goes back to reproduce and reprove the double slit experiment with modern technology to ensure, like, hey, that it worked. And they kind of discovered something along the way. So a groundbreaking achievement by physicists from Imperial College London has brought new insights into quantum physics by recreating the famous double slit experiment in the dimension of time. Led by Professor Riccardo Sapienza from the Department of Physics, this research team explored how light interacts with a material whose optical properties can change within a few femtoseconds, revealing more about the fundamental nature of light. The original double slit experiment, which was performed in 1801 by Thomas Young, showed that light behaves as a wave. Later experiments demonstrated that light also behaves as particles, revealing its quantum nature of being both. In this classic experiment, light was passed through two physical slits, creating an interference pattern that displayed light's wave properties. This experiment became crucial in understanding not just light, but also the quantum behavior of particles like electrons and atoms. This new experiment alters the classic version by focusing on changes in the frequency of light rather than its direction. The researchers used lasers to manipulate the optical properties of a thin film of indium tin oxide, the material commonly found in mobile phone screens. By changing its reflectivity with a femtosecond precision, which is a very, very short amount of time, the team was able to alter the light's color and produce an interference-like pattern from different colors of light interacting with each other. Published in Nature Physics, this experiment, as Sapienza notes, quote, reveals more about the fundamental nature of light while serving as a stepping stone to creating the ultimate materials that can minutely control light in both space and time. These materials could significantly advance technologies in fields ranging from telecommunications to medicine. One of the major breakthroughs from this experiment is the potential for creating new spectroscopies, spectroscopies. Yeah, you know what I'm talking about.
Yeah.
That can resolve the temporal structure of light pulses. So the co-author, Professor Sir John Pendry said, quote, the double time slits experiment opens the door to a whole new spectroscopy capable of resolving the temporal structure of light pulse on the scale of one period of the radiation. I don't know what the fuck that means. These findings are not just a step forward in quantum physics, but could lead to the transformative applications in various industries. By controlling the timing and frequency of light with greater precision, this technology might one day enable faster internet speeds and more efficient communications network. Basically using quantum science to make the transfer of information nearly instant.
To give some additional information, because I just looked up a femtosecond, because I was like, I've never heard of this before. So
this is the article.
There's also picoseconds, like there's all sorts of crazy things. But a femtosecond is basically 15 zeros after the number, and it's like either 1/4 of a second or 1/1,000,000th of a billionth of a second. So
near instantaneous.
The best way I figured out how to describe this, and I shout out to someone who clearly wrote this in for people like me on Wikipedia.
Yeah.
A femtosecond is to a second what a second is to 31.69 million years.
Holy shit.
That's how fast that is. That's crazy.
Oh my God.
It varies within that time frame.
Yeah.
That's crazy.
Yep. Another one of those, like, time. What is time?
Yeah, but that's where we're operating in this study, which is interesting because that's very fast.
Yeah, it's super quick, which is why it's impressive. But it's cool that they also like did the double slit experiment with more modern technology and like trying to approach it from a different angle. It's cool. And that wraps us for our mini-sode, ladies and gentlemen. Thank you so much for supporting us here at patreon.com/Chilluminati. We'll be back next week. We appreciate you. We love you. Goodbye.
Goodbye.
Bye.